Hi, everyone. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back to the Superficial Spirit. I am back from my summer break, even though it's still technically the summer. And I'm with Big D. I keep saying Big D, and I feel like it's like Big Dick.
No, you can
And I
say
feel
Big
like,
D. You wouldn't be the first one.
oh, okay. There you go. You heard it first. Actually, maybe you heard it first on Grinder. Um, I did make an intro for our return to the pod, but it's more of a housewife intro for me, but this is what it is. My secret to success? Easy. Eat the rich.
I love that. I
Right?
love Socialist Peter.
Oh,
Welcome,
girl.
comrade.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Speaking of comrade, here's some tea. Um, Maxwell and I, like Maxwell during the Maxwell is the person who, for people who don't know, our is the producer. Actually, he was just on an episode, so hopefully you know. He made my first album, Send in the Robots, and during the pandemic, he wrote a bunch of amazing pop songs, and he's like, "What do you think?" And I was like, yes. And then it was like lockdown. Plus, I was in Toronto. So it kind of lost momentum. Anyway, I was just in Victoria and we're like back to talking about doing music again, which is exciting. But one of the songs, I can't remember what it's called, but the lyric is all, what is it? All my friends were straight and white. Wait, all my friends were muscular. I can't remember, but one of the lines is "Call me comrade, Britney bitch. Call me comrade, Britney bitch."
Okay,
So there you go.
cool. I love it. Well, Brittany would be a comrade if she had the wherewithal. My for two things. One, I love that. Please feature me. You know I can sing. I would do anything to be featured on a Peter Breeze album. Second,
Okay.
I don't have an intro, I guess, but I was gonna say something. Oh, it's ruined now. I can't do it. Even it's too late. Can't do it. I ruined it. I already gave
Okay.
it too much
Well,
preamble. The moment has passed.
when if the moment strikes you, that's okay. You can bring it back again.
Okay. Well, I don't know. I was gonna say something like, and I'm three dwarfs in a trench coat, Derek. Like, you know,
Oh, don't understand that.
whatever.
Have you heard about the Snow White? Speaking of dwarfs, like the movie that they're making,
I did hear about
plagued.
like a
Yeah,
woke Snow
controversy.
White. Disney is making it a girl power Mexican girl or something like that. Yeah.
There was a picture leaked from set, and it was like the seven dwarfs were, first of all, not tiny,
Oh,
and they
they're being
were
played by like normal size. Sorry, I shouldn't say normal. They're being played by big people,
by
not by
big
little people.
people.
Yeah.
Yeah, and men, women, different races, maybe different gender expressions. Which, if somebody says they're going to do that, it's like you don't really think, like, I wouldn't think anything of it. It seems very 2023 to do that. But in like the long line of the, I guess, the wokeification of Disney, people are pissed off. And I feel like this is the thing. I think we talked about Black Ariel, Derek, when like last year sometime, about it's not about like the race swapping that pisses people off. It's like if you're doing it superficially and you're not actually telling a story that represents those minorities, then is it really having the effect that you think it is? I mean, I guess Hallie in Ariel is having a huge effect. Like, I don't know what it's like to be a little black girl and see a black mermaid. She was fucking awesome, iconic. I can't wait to watch that movie again. She sounded so good. But yeah, it's like that line between, are you doing this because you care, or are you doing it because you're hoping that that's what will get people in to see the movie?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's 100% from the perspective of Disney. It's 100% notoriety. The more people on the left like it because they want to talk about it, like Yas Queen, go off sis, and people on the right will talk about it because Ben Shapiro will make 600 videos about it for the next however long, right? So and that way everyone talks about it. It's incredibly good marketing for them. Yeah, and like I said
Yeah.
before, I won't rehash the whole thing, but like if you're going to make that change and make it meaningless, then like why are you making that change? With regard to like the little people though, like we already know that you can't do this, right? Gary Oldman
Hmm.
got in so much trouble for doing Tiptoes, right?
Yeah.
Like the movie of the role of a lifetime where he played a little person while walking around on his knees. Like it's offensive. Like
Oh no. And also we have technology like, well, what's his name? Peter Lord of the Rings.
Dinklage, yeah.
Yeah, so he was like, "Aren't we past this? Like, we shouldn't be making Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Shouldn't use
There
that
are
word."
dwarf
And
actors. They're just dwarf actors. Cast the dwarf actors. Throw them a bone. Like it's the whole.
yeah,
Remember, it's the whole pose thing. Like it's the first. You got trans roles. Cast goddamn trans actors. It's not that hard. They're out there and they need the work.
and if you can't find them, then do what they did on Lord of the Rings, and just use technology and make the big people little. I'm just googling if dwarf is politically correct.
It is.
Person of short stature, little person, and dwarf are commonly used. Okay, awesome. Oh, it's the M word that isn't.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I mean, in Lord of the Rings, it's almost different because this is like a fantasy dwarf, which, I guess it would be ideal if they had cast little people, but it's not necessarily a representation thing in my view. Like I feel like that's a
Mhm.
different type of dwarf, the same way elf is like not really a thing. I don't think they were
Yeah,
talking about little people per se. Like it's almost a different because they're magical little mining guys who love gold, right? Like that's not what a dwarf is really. So
totally.
yeah.
We're talking about fantasy people. It's not real.
Yeah.
Newsflash, Disney is fake. God, that guy's annoying. Bob Iger, whatever his friggin' name is. I did see something on Abigail Disney, and she was like, "My family's awful. My grandfather was like, good intentioned and wanted to pay people equally, but the whole strike and the comments he made about what they're asking for is unreasonable." And then it's just like, how do these people? I don't want to start into all billionaires are bastards in the first fucking 10 minutes of my
No, go
return
off,
to the
Queen.
podcast, but I'm constantly like, why? How do you come to this place of thinking that that's okay? And Abigail Disney was like, these people, if they're not born into it, then you spend enough time in these affluent circles where everybody's ultra rich and elite, and you just forget that people are just out there trying to survive. I actually worked at a hotel in Toronto, and the owner of the hotel came from a really wealthy family, and she had a really hard time giving people raises. And the hotel was given to her by her dad. She had a really hard time giving people raises, and there was a conversation that had happened, and everybody kind of heard it through the rumor mill that she had to be reminded that people paid rent. And it was like, not that she completely was oblivious to it, but like, the salaries and the wages that you're paying aren't enough to live in Toronto, and things like that just drive me insane. Like, how can you be a billionaire and keep your humanity there? That's what I'm trying to wrap my brain around. Is it possible?
I think absolutely not. I just don't think so. You can't really be a billionaire without exploiting people. And I mean, just look at any billionaire. Look at any billionaire. There's not a single billionaire that you feel like, yes, that guy gets it. He's relatable. I don't know. Maybe Mark Cuban, but he's hardly ever in the media, and probably that's why. Probably because
Mhm.
he's out of touch, and he wouldn't be that popular if he spoke up more.
I was talking about this on the weekend. I was in Victoria with Max and Alex, and yeah, it gets me spiky, it gets me prickly, but
Now, I think it's possible to become a millionaire and still remain relatively down to earth because $1 million is
Mhm.
not that much. Multi-million dollars are not that much. You can own a small business and make that kind of money. You can be, a fairly down to earth content creator. Although I'd love to talk about Miranda Sings today. So let's put a pin in that.
Okay.
But I think there's just a lot of ways to make that kind of money and remain relatively sane. $1 million is not that much. It's yeah. So, but billionaires, that's too much money. It's more money than you can spend, and it's money that you could solve. Like pick a world problem and you could solve it, right? You
Yeah.
could solve hunger. You could solve homelessness with a fraction of your hundreds of billions of dollars. In the case of some of these guys like Bezos and Elon Musk, right? So
The thing about that I also am contemplating all the time is like, the thing I like about capitalism is, as a ambitious person and as a creative person, I love the freedom of waking up and being like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to make money. I'm going to do a podcast, release an album, fucking write a book. I like that there is no cap, and it sort of fills me personally with like, anything is possible. But I also don't think that one person needs billions of dollars. So then the question comes back to me is, how much money should a person have? Like, what is my personal Peter Breeze opinion about like a cap on personal wealth? And I don't know. Like, I feel like it's maybe 100 million, which is still a lot. But you're right. Like $1 million. I actually Googled this recently. What is considered wealthy in Canada? And it's $1 million. Most people who own homes in big city, actually, no. People who own homes in Toronto and Vancouver definitely are worth 1 million if they bought a home. So that's a lot of wealthy people. But when you think of wealthy, you think of like freedom, access, financial freedom, and that is not what's happening these days with a
Yeah,
million dollars.
assets are a kind of wealth, but then there's also liquid wealth, which is these people who own a bunch of property and have a bunch of cash in the bank. I guess like what was that? You made like a drinking alcohol kind of
Because it was
hand,
liquid wealth. Yes, I got
right?
vodka in my
Yeah,
freezer.
like a liquid lunch. I feel like I know I said like I don't think it's possible to become a billionaire without exploiting people, so that makes you a bad person. But I also think purely by virtue of having $1 billion, you become a bad person also, because like having that kind of power, that kind of outsized power over society is like really wrong. Look at what Elon Musk can do. Elon Musk was like furnishing Ukraine with Starlink capabilities, right? Communication technology via satellite, via Starlink. And he just felt like turning it off and people died, right? Why? Because I mean, I think he didn't want to make Putin mad because he's an authoritarian and he likes Putin and wants to suck his dick, right? So he just turned that off and people died because he just felt uncomfortable. And then what happens? The Pentagon has to talk directly to Elon Musk. If the
Yeah.
Pentagon wants to talk to Boeing, they don't talk to Stan Boeing or whatever the fuck. They talk to any one of a network of leaders across a national network of leaders in Boeing to get that done. They don't
Yeah.
talk to Bob Boeing or whoever the hell. Like that level of influence for an individual to have is wrong, right?
You know, you can keep me accountable if I become a billionaire, Derek. You can be my homeboy. And I was talking to my mom about if my mom buys lottery tickets. And we're always like, what if we win? What are we going to do? And I know the first thing I would do is call Andy Cohen over at Bravo and be like, I just won the lottery and I think that I need a reality show. And then I would basically buy my way into Hollywood and meet all my celebrities. Maybe move in with Britney, get in her Instagram, see what's going on with her. Maybe record a song with Paris and pay her like $1 million to record. Like that's what I would definitely spend a big chunk of money on, just like paying for my fame and having a reality show or a fucking TikTok show, or if that's even a thing. That's what I would do. And then after that, I don't know.
Sure. Only it sounds like living with Britney isn't all it's cracked up to be.
Oh God, here we go. Okay, fine. I was gonna give you an update on my life first,
Oh yeah,
but
go
let's talk.
ahead. Let's do
Okay,
that.
fine. Brittany, for the listeners who are waiting for Brittany, it's coming. Just be patient, dear God. Okay, so like I took time off of the podcast. I think it's been, oh God, March, April, May, June, July. Oh my God, it's been 5 months. Evan and I bought a place in BC, and we had to move from our apartment to Evan's parents' place for a month. Living with your in-laws is fun. And then the actual move across the country, getting set up. So I took a break from the podcast. Thanks for your patience. Um, Also, really good to give myself time to live and get re-inspired, because I know some of the things you and Jess and I talk about in our text chat is like, sometimes I feel like I don't want to fucking talk about spirituality anymore, and like I don't want to interview another drag queen. The Real Housewives aren't getting back to me. I just like I go in cycles, so it's good for me to take these breaks and then come back and be all excited like I feel now. But I actually didn't tell people that I was moving back to BC. Like I told my close friends, but I also went off social media.
Yeah, it was pretty quiet.
Yeah, it was quiet. So I was not doing the podcast, not on social media. I moved across the country, and then now I just got activated my Instagram account. I'm starting to record again. But I really loved being disconnected like that, and I have to say that um, moving across the country is a lot. Evan and I have moved a lot. Like we met in Vancouver, we moved to Kelowna, Toronto, and back to BC. We're in Burnaby now, and the roller coaster of emotions, girl, it's just been like I got here and I was instantly like, I need to reconnect with every person that I ever met in Vancouver. I was like texting everybody, making plans. It was really overwhelming because I got back to like the place where so many amazing things happened, and I really underestimated what that would feel like. And with taking a break from the podcast and not being on social media, it gave me a chance to just like, settle in a little bit, like ease into my new life and then start. So if I didn't tell you I was moving, I'm sorry. I didn't want a big going away party. I'm also really susceptible to people's opinions, and I didn't want to hear anybody say, "Are you sure you want to leave Toronto? Are you sure? Are you sure?" Yes, I'm sure. I want to leave Garbage City. Okay, it was great. It smells like garbage. It's really chaotic. There's lots of opportunities and diversity, but I didn't feel like myself, Derek. I did not feel like myself for 5 years. I feel like I was really trying to get into the vibe, and like I got a great job. I started the podcast. I did lots of writing. Like I was sober. Like lots of good things happened. But until I came back to Vancouver, I did not know what people meant when they said they're a West Coast or an East Coast person. I got back and I'm like, oh my God, I'm a West Coast person. Like being near the mountains, being near the ocean, the way that people dress, the way that they talk, everything is more laid back. It's like I really underestimated that when I left, and I didn't know until I came back. So it feels so good to be back in this world. It's just like it's so good for my spirit.
Yeah, that's interesting. I've only visited Toronto, so I don't know if it feels different. When I've been there, I felt, yeah, it feels diverse. It feels like there's something going on all the time. You can walk down the street and see different kinds of people. That's refreshing. It feels like all those
Mhm.
people are doing something with their community.
Yeah.
And there doesn't really have that vibe here to me, but I haven't lived there. And people do say that it's fast paced, everyone's stressed out, a little bit less friendly, I guess. Is that right?
I met friendly people. I would
Mm.
say, how would I describe the difference? Toronto is definitely a place where I feel like people are going out every night, like
Mm.
dinners, drinks. When I was going to meetings, it was like a huge recovery community that I felt like every night I was being invited to these huge group functions, which not absolutely not my scene anymore, especially not drinking. I am not that social. So I found that even Evan's family, like there was always a pressure I felt to go out and socialize, which I kind of like pushed against. That's one thing. I do feel like people are more conservative, and I don't mean like in their political views. I just feel like they're more, I don't know if it's serious or button up. Like I definitely had friends that were, doing things that conservative people wouldn't necessarily approve of. But there's something about Toronto that made me feel like I needed to be more button up. And I was like exploring a new side of myself, like the professional side and the, sober side and the like balanced supportive partner, all of those things that in my 20s I didn't have to do. That's what Toronto represents for me. So it was good that it like set me up for this part of my life, but I don't know if that's the city or just my experience. Like is it a more conservative place, or was that just me feeling like I had to be a different person? I don't know. You'll have to go and see. It's definitely busier, hustle. People are out all the time, lots to do, lots to see. Every artist goes there, amazing restaurants. It is, I know the rest of Canada isn't like this, but it is kind of like the place in Canada. Like if you want to do things, like the drag scene is amazing. The film and TV scene is amazing. There's recording artists and things like that. So yeah, if that's what you want, go for it. Not for me. Not now. Maybe later.
Cool.
Probably
Well,
not.
anyway,
We'll
you
see.
went there and tried it, and now you know. Hello?
Hi.
Oh,
Are
hi.
you there? Okay.
Did
I was like, wow, I really like, he's dumbfounded by my Toronto experience. He has nothing to say.
Oh, I don't know. Maybe it cut off what I was saying, but I said yeah, it's good that you went there and had the experience, and now you know what you prefer.
Yeah, totally. Good to be back and feeling super inspired. I mentioned this when I was just rambling about cycles. So my emotions, I learned this about myself when I got sober. My emotions, my anxiety, my depression comes in cycles. Like I'm under the bipolar spectrum for sure. It's called cyclothymia. Actually, I'm gonna go get a re-diagnosis because I'm not sure. But I go through these phases where I'm like, I write a book, I record an album, and I do like 100 episodes of a podcast. And then I feel like there's nothing left in my soul. So, one thing I wanted to say to you is like, I'm nervous to start the podcast again because I feel like in no, not the winter, maybe like next summer, I'm going to feel like I need to take a break again. And I judge myself for that. Like, podcasts just keep going. And I I have a lot of anxiety about like, being quote unquote perfect or like being high, constantly pumping out content. Um, so the catch 22 of like feeling really good is like at the back of your mind being like, oh God, is this gonna last? Like how long am I gonna have the inspiration, creativity, and energy to do the podcast? I hope it's long, but I wanted to tell the listeners that, like, let's see how long it can go for.
Yeah, I think bursts of inspiration are normal. I think most creatives would tell you that they go through phases like that. I also think that people who do podcasts forever only do that, and they put all this work in to get sponsors and market it, and that's all that they do. And I also think that content creators experience a lot of burnout. So
100%.
it's like, what would you rather do? Would you rather have bursts of inspiration and be satisfied with something that you've done over, I don't know, let's say 4 months or whatever, and then take a break? Or would you rather go all the time and just see where that takes you? Right. And also, do you have
Yeah.
the resources to put towards something permanently? Like maybe not.
Oh God. And this, I'm so glad you said that because I have two damn jobs. I have a long-term relationship. I have a dog. I have a lot on my plate. So
And that
this
energy is one of those resources.
exactly. And this has to be an outlet for me. Like this has to be fun. This has to take my way of unwinding because I don't do the things I used to do to unwind. Well, not all the time. I did once at Gem Show. Peter Breeze from 2009 came back with a vengeance a couple months ago.
The
And
legendary sitting on the floor and screaming at her or whatever it was. But
Woo! Yeah, I smacked her ass
oh, good.
while she
Okay.
was performing at the Junction, and a table of young queer zillennials um, that appeared to be gender nonconforming, which is great. Were like, you cannot touch the performers. How dare you touch
And
them? I was like,
they didn't even
I.
know who you were.
They didn't know who I was. I had to tell
Devastating.
them. But I got in trouble. Like the bouncer came over, don't touch the performers. I was like, I literally get her gigs all the time. We've been friends for 20 years. So that was also like an eye opener for me. That scene is very different. You cannot do the
Yeah.
same things, or you can, but you're not going to be part of the cool crowd. I don't even know if those kids were cool, but I definitely felt like the old, the aging twink, former club kid who was like, I can do anything. And then realizing, no,
Yes.
girl, times have changed. Times are changing. But yeah, so I have a lot on my plate. So this has to be an outlet. And it so often is. Like I've said this to you and Jess so many times when we're recording, like I feel so fulfilled by the conversations we have and the topics we get to explore. So I'm feeling really good about it now. And you're right, like people who are full-time content creators, my God, their lives are intense. Darcy and Jer were on the show recently. They're on
Hmm.
tour. They're wildly successful. Just bought a new house that was expensive, so it's worth it. But the more insight I get into celebrity lives, like the drag queens that I work with, the people that I know who have become famous, the content creators, it's like it is not easy. It is so much work. It's the constant pressure to pump out content. That's what freaks me out about TikTok too. Is like I don't want to make 5 videos a day. It's like no, I want to do my episode. I want to post it on Instagram, and then I want to go back to my life and hope that people like it. And if they don't, that's okay too, because at least you can.
Yeah, it's okay to be a casual user, I think. And a
Oh,
casual a
what?
casual artist.
There you go.
Yeah.
Um, okay, so that's my update. Let's move to the real. Wait, Derek, is there anything going on with you? Tell me. I know we saw each other a couple weeks ago, and you gave me the a little update, but anything you want to share?
Well, since we stopped doing the show in March, I've just been sitting on the couch staring at the wall for 5 months, like American Psycho, just waiting.
Aw, my little
So
sociopath.
thank God, we're here and I have purpose again. I don't know. No, nothing really that interesting, honestly. I think I got a promotion at work before we went on break. That's fine. It's lovely. I'm more satisfied at work. Uh, I don't know. I don't think I should talk about if I'm seeing someone or not because the instant I say that, I won't be.
Okay, well, when you're comfortable talking about the love life, let me know.
Okay.
Um, yeah, the listeners want to know. I want to know.
I got nothing. I
Um,
don't know. I love my cat very much. I had a nice Pride. I went to Puerto Vallarta for Pride as well. Ran into Shangela, who I've met several times. Only she this time didn't recognize me, which is fine. She meets a lot of people. We've like hung out, me and her, but like she doesn't remember, and that's fine. Um, Cameron Michaels, I had a conversation with.
ooh,
You know, whatever. It was fine. It was a good time. I don't know what else to
I
say, I guess.
feel like you and Cameron Michaels could be a match.
Well, he was there with a guy, if that's what you mean, like with a boyfriend. But
Oh,
sure. I mean, vibes wise, I actually like kind of made friends with Cameron's friends. Like instead of Cameron is just like they were they were portrayed on the show, and especially at the reunion where everyone was like, "You're not friendly and you're cold," and Cameron was like, "Well, I'm sorry, that's just who I am. I'm not going to show up and hand out party favors." That's exactly who Cameron was when I met them, so that's
Yeah.
fine, and I don't blame them for that because I actually appreciated that on the show. I appreciated that, like, as an introvert, they stood up for that. Like, that's a valid way to be. You can be shy,
Yeah.
you can be introverted, and it doesn't necessarily make you mean. I've always felt like people who say that about people who are shy or introverted, if they say that you're mean or cold or you're not warm or friendly, like, that's true and that's a fair position to have on someone like that. But to project onto that they're a bitch, or like they don't like you or something like that, I have always felt as a weak personality to have. Like, if that's what you
Oh,
think,
totally.
that's your problem. So I've always
Yeah. I
appreciated that
mean,
about Cameron.
the assumption that if somebody's quiet, that it has something to do with you, like they don't like you, they're being mean to you. It's like, get over yourself, bitch. The world does not revolve around you.
Yeah, no
I
one
love
thinks about
meeting,
you that much. Yeah.
yeah. I love meeting people on TV that are the way that they are. Not always the case with those famous drag queens for sure. When was PV Pride? Was that after Vancouver?
I honestly forget. I think it was May, so it was before.
Oh
I
yeah,
believe
yeah,
it's May.
before. I can't believe I
Yeah.
didn't see you at Pride. We saw each other at Cool Moms, and then our Pride was kind of wacky. It was a lot, but yeah,
Well, I assume
that's
you
too
were
bad.
like at Happy Land with Orville Peck or something, and
I wasn't with Orville Peck. Was he here? Oh yeah, he
I
was.
don't
No,
know.
I
I
wasn't at his
think
show.
so. I think it was Orville Peck and Trixie, and I was like, I bet Peter's there, but I'll
I
pass.
was on the list, but I didn't go because it was I did not, bitch. I did not want to be around a lot of people. I did not want to be in being backstage places is like high intensity. You have to be like in the zone to like talk to those people and be like, um, I wasn't at Playland. We went to a friend's, Jason Matlow's house party, and then we went on a boat the next day with straight and gay people. And
Ew.
yeah, I know. I was like, "What is this?" No, I didn't do that. It was nice. It was chill. It was like Dickie Doo was DJing. He's like a really famous DJ, and we had a good time. Evan and I are getting back into our balance of what we want our party lives to be like. Right now, my philosophy is 95% angel, 5% devil. So we'll
Okay.
see how that
Hey, yeah,
goes.
balance is right. You gotta have balance. You know what? 50% devil, I think, is too much.
Oh yeah, nobody wants Peter Breeze 50% devil bish. No, 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 no. No, no, no. It's just figuring out like fine tuning what the 5% devil is, like what is it? What is it? Is it being slutty? Is it drinking? Is it doing drugs? Is it going skydiving? Like, what is going to give me that release? So TBD, the jury's out.
Okay, I love that for
Um,
you. I also went on my first boat party. I would do it again. It was great.
you liked it? You didn't feel
Yeah.
stuck, trapped, like
No, because
there's nowhere to go?
it wasn't one of those big, like the Princess boat or whatever the fuck they take around the harbor and Coal Harbor. It wasn't that. Because those are too
Okay.
big. They're too full of people I don't know. This was like a smaller, intimate thing. We chartered this like boat. It's probably the same one everyone charters. You've seen this chartered boat before. It might even
Yeah,
be the
I
same
know
one
you
you
do.
were on. And
Mhm.
yeah, it was like a friend thing with, like, I don't know. I feel like it was 50 people, maybe, however many fit on that boat.
Nice.
Yeah, it was lovely.
Nice. I've had good experience and bad experiences on the boat. I think it depends what the vibe is, right? And what everyone's doing. But I'm glad you had
Yeah,
a
well,
good
the
time.
music was great, and like my friend has been doing it for many years, so like he's become pretty adept at putting on this a good party, I think, on this boat. But it was my first time, so it was great.
I can't believe that's your first time at a boat party living in Vancouver and Victoria.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's it's my first pride of my new life.
Your new life?
Well, I
What
mean,
do you
everyone says I'm a
mean?
different person since before I went away to Victoria, and I agree with that. That's true, and it's my
Uh,
first pride since being back, right, and
okay.
reintroducing the world to Derek. So
Okay. She's new. She's out there. Love it. Well, maybe we'll be on a boat together sometime.
I'll push you off.
Oh, make sure you film it so we
I'll
can
like
go
White
viral.
Lotus you. Yeah.
But I will survive.
Yeah.
Um, okay, so listen, one of the reasons why we wanted to hop on a little more urgently, because I didn't know when we would start recording again. I thought maybe September. But my dear Brittany, oh lordy, what? She's back
Baby.
in. She's back. Oh, so
Ow.
yeah, you sound just like her.
Ow, man. Ow.
Oh, I feel like I'm on ketamine.
Tiny dancer.
Oh God, that's a good one. Um, okay, so just a little context of like how I've been feeling about Britney before we dive into this. I'm pretty sure I've said this on the pod. Britney's conservatorship, her being freed from the conservatorship, and then the aftermath of her being out of the conservatorship has completely and utterly made me repulsed by pop culture. I don't like celebrities, and okay, I see the magic in fame and in pop culture, but because I had such an emotional connection to Britney, because she was such a symbol of the type of fame, that chaotic paparazzi lifestyle that I so valued, and because now we know that it was all bullshit, she was so controlled, it wasn't even really her, and now we see sort of the real person she is. I feel duped. I feel like I was lied to, and I don't think I'll ever invest too much into a celebrity ever again. Doesn't mean I can't enjoy pop culture. So when things sort of started unraveling for her after the conservatorship, I was okay with it. I was like, girl wants to get naked. You know, she's like, fuck my kids. I don't care if they don't want to see my
I don't think
vagina.
she said she wanted to fuck her kids.
No, but she was like, my kids don't like seeing me naked, but I don't care because I'm free and my father controlled me for 13 years. And then she goes on and on and on and on and on. So I feel like Britney has the right to be reckless, careless, sexy, crazy. That's her prerogative. Any other person on the planet could
Ah,
post that
prerogative.
shit.
Sorry.
could
You
post
can't just
could
say that's her prerogative without. Come on.
I didn't even realize I was saying it. Um, Anybody who would is like a quote unquote normal person could do that, and it's like that's their right. It is not. It is not breaking any rules to be a little chaotic online and possibly
Chaotic.
unstable.
You can't stop. You know that Chaotic was her TV show. Come on.
It's getting hectic in here. It's getting chaotic. I'm rocking and rolling, no stopping. Um, So that's how I feel about her now. And and not being on social media for like 4 months, I really was like disconnected from all the storylines I've been following, like Housewives drama and Britney. And when you don't see Britney for a long time, and then you go back, it's kind of like you see it a lot more clearly. And I'm not judging her. I still am a fan. I think what she went through is awful, and I support her right to live however she wants. But I do feel like, I don't know. I feel like I don't care anymore, and I feel like we need to just stop focusing on everything she does, like, leave Britney alone, hello? It's like, who cares if she's getting divorced? Who cares if he was a gold digger? Who cares if her ex broke into her house? Like, who cares? Who cares? And also for Britney, if this industry was so traumatic for you, why are you constantly engaging with your fans like this? Because she doesn't actually engage in the sense of like authentically opening up and having the connection. She gives you little tidbits and she dances. That's it. Like I don't feel like I've ever had a connection like Lady Gaga has to her fans, where it's like you can tell there's a feeling and a connection there. Um, so I feel like unless she releases music, oh god, she did release that damn song. Um, so that's one. I feel like
Oh yeah,
Britney is
mind your
Britney is doing what she's doing for her, not for anybody else. So that's one. And two, and then mind your business, bitch. And when
mind
her
your business, bitch. It's
remember me and you were sitting at Jem's show and we were saying how bad that song was, and then our two
yeah,
friends, Daryl and Julian, came and said that they loved it and they could like. I mean, you were flabbergasted. Like, what? You love that song? Are you serial? And apparently they were. Um, it is really annoying that she said this is for my fans or he said this is for my fans when one, she didn't fucking record anything and the jury is out on even if it's her own voice. She didn't even pose for a new picture for the single cover and she didn't do any promotion. So as a fan, as somebody who was part of the, Free Britney movement fervently, I feel like don't say that it's for your fans when you haven't done anything. Actually, you didn't go to the studio, you didn't record, you're not promoting it, you're not like just don't do anything then instead of releasing this half-ass bullshit song from 15 years ago like it's a gift. No,
yeah.
Tiny Dancer was a bit of a gift. I did like that one, but I was just disappointed. Like her legacy is going to crap and it's really really upsetting.
Yeah, I don't. That's what we said to each other. I remember. I was like, her legacy is going to be like old pictures spinning around in circles in her living room, and like crappy low rent cultural output. Like the song is low rent, the picture is low rent. Even the picture on her autobiography is, is from "I'm Not a Girl." era.
Yeah.
It's which I guess makes sense because that's kind of the reference to the title of the book. But I don't know. At the same time, what you want from Britney, especially out of a book, is for her to finally be honest and real, and then for her to not give us a current photo. I feel like isn't really like lining up. It's just I don't know. Like that's the whole vibe. It's so cheap. It's all so cheap. The Will I Am song is cheap. Everything about it is cheap. The scam behind it is cheap. Whether it's not a new song, she might not even have recorded the vocals. I'm a staunch advocate for the it's Maya Marie on everything to do with Britney Jean
Yeah.
position.
Yeah.
I think it's Maya Marie on mind your business, bitch. So it's all cheap. Like it's low effort. It's slapdash, and that's what her legacy is looking like.
Yeah.
It's smudged eye makeup. It's crazy hair. It's spinning around in a circle. Like that's what Britney is now, and it's so weird because even in 2008 when she put out Blackout, that was what you can say chaotic again. That was a chaotic time, a chaotic album cover. That album cover looks like she shot it on an iPhone 2, but it rocked. Like that's her sickest album. What
Yeah.
happened? Like I don't know how this stuff happened. Like she's such an enigma. Like I don't get it. She
But
can't.
this is what is interesting about being trashy, chaotic, and fucked up, but having a strong artistic vision and incredible talent. Because there have been, I mean, we could talk for 4 days straight about the amount of rock stars and actors who had really chaotic lives and produced the most brilliant work ever. Courtney Love is one of them. But the problem with Britney, I think, and I hate to say it, is like there is a lack of artistic vision there, and she loved performing and she did love what she was doing, I think, for a time, but it was really controlled and contrived, and she became a product. I mean, I've heard from industry insiders who said that she didn't even want to sing songs that were about her life until Piece of Me. So not only was it just a job, she was also like, I don't want to actively sing about my life. And so now the difference between her being chaotic and having blackout and her being chaotic and not producing anything, I think, is like a lack of artistic vision. She doesn't really want to. And I think the more people pull away from her, the less refined in reality it's going to be, because blackout was right at the end. Like it was all happening. I suspect she still had a lot of industry people around her that were
Yeah.
like maybe not writing the music, but Robin was on Piece of Me and did backing vocals. So I don't, it's not that I don't think Britney's an artist. I think she is. She has incredible talent. She has incredible stage presence. Like there's no denying she's got a gift. But you bring up a good point. Like, why is she being chaotic and then releasing bad songs? Like, why can't she be chaotic and go into this studio and sing a fuck you pop song about how she feels about her family? Because she doesn't want to. She doesn't want to be like out there anymore. Well, she says she doesn't want to be out there, but then she's out there every damn day, naked, spinning with the damn hair extensions.
I mean, I think she doesn't want to have people around her anymore, and that makes sense. Like, she doesn't want to have this team telling her what to do because she's had a really traumatic experience with that, which I guess is why when Will I Am comes and says, "Let's dust this turd off from 12 years ago, we'll both make some money," she's like, "Okay, I don't have to do anything. Fine. I trust Will I Am.
Yeah.
Sure, fine. You do it." You know?
I wonder too when she says she loves her fans, if she does. Like, I can't imagine seeing Britney Spears in public going up to her and her being comfortable with that, or her enjoying that kind of attention, because she's been so open about how she doesn't trust people and she's scared. So I also wonder, why are you still in LA? Like, go back to Louisiana, go back where there isn't paparazzi. Like when fucking Harry and Meghan said they wanted to get away from the media and then moved next door to Oprah and did a Netflix documentary and did a Spotify deal. That to me is like contradicting. You can't say that you don't want to be famous, complain about the industry, and then constantly engage with it. It's like a drug addict or an alcoholic who's like, I really want to be sober, and every damn night they're at the bar. It's not that it's easy. I mean, changing a life is hard, but with Britney, it's confusing because you're so traumatized, yet you're constantly putting it out there. But I don't know. I
Well,
feel bad for even saying it.
others have suggested that she has a real need for attention, and that would seem to fit with her sort of Instagram based behavior. But and I hate I don't want to like I don't want to infantilize this 42-year-old woman or whatever she is, right? So what I don't want to say is she doesn't know anything else. This has been her whole life because she's an adult ass woman with kids. But at the same time, she was infantilized her entire life. And I think it's clear that she has some psychological problems, perhaps as a result, or perhaps in a sort of unrelated way, that have been compounded by that because she already bears a mental illness that's genetic or something, right? Seems like she probably has a mental illness pre-existing, right? That her conditions have exacerbated. So at the same time as not wanting to infantilize her, the fact is she was infantilized for almost her entire life, and then even more so during the conservatorship. So I don't know. It's a mystery.
Yeah.
I want her book to reveal that stuff, but I'm not that optimistic about it because of
No.
things she's been doing lately. Her sort of reticence to actually reveal anything about her real life. She's actually still quite protected by her side. I don't know if it's just people doing it to her. I mean, people will theorize that she's actually not free. I don't care about that. She's still self-protecting at the very least. And like, I don't take that picture of her. I don't take that book cover picture as a good sign.
Yeah, I agree. I did pre-order the book, but as soon as I did, I was like, I don't know if I want to read this because as a fucking hardcore Britney stan, there's not a lot about her life that has been talked about that I don't already know very, very well. And I'm going to be really disappointed if this book comes out and it's just basically a longer, more eloquent, well-spoken, thoughtful way of um, sharing what she has already shared on Instagram. What I would
Or
like to see from,
just taking shots at celebrities that
yeah,
she feels like did wrong to her, right? Maybe it's
yeah.
just that, I don't
I
care
think
about
it's
that.
going to be that some salacious stuff about Justin, maybe Madonna. Um, I think I think it's going to be a strong focus on her family. What I'm really curious about is like I want to know what Britney thinks about not singing live. Like that's something that I've always wondered is if you go back on YouTube, and I do this all the time, and watch her early performances on Rosie O'Donnell, on Oprah, she was singing live. Her mic is on. You can tell it sounded good sometimes. It was so sometimes, but it was on. At what point did that mic go off? And when did she have a part of that conversation? Did they take her aside and be like, Brittany, we need to like, cool it with the live vocals? I don't know. That's something I've always wanted to know because it's something that's followed her around her whole career that she's never really talked about directly. That's one thing I'd like to hear. Another thing I'd like to hear is if she enjoys being famous. Like she says she loves her job, but I would like her to be really candid about her fans. And I honestly want her to say, like, leave me alone. I don't like it. Because I get the sense she doesn't like it at all. She doesn't like the paparazzi. She doesn't want to be mobbed. She doesn't want people talking about her. And it would be so refreshing for her to be like, look, I had a lot of fun. Here are some stories from my book that you might not know about celebrities, about trauma, maybe, the time I did cocaine on a private jet, like whatever she feels comfortable sharing. And then letting this be like, and thank you for the support. But I really want to make it really clear that I've not enjoyed my experience of fame. It's been really traumatizing to me. And I thank you for your support, but you need to stop. You need to stop. You need to leave me alone.
I don't think
That's
we can get anything that vulnerable from her because I do think it's my opinion as much as you know, uh, as much as I feel like I have no right or knowledge to speak, my purely my opinion as an observer is just that she does have a need for the attention and is susceptible to embarrassment at the same time. Like I think she's very defensive, rightly so. None of this is a criticism, but I think there's this duality. I think there's a dichotomy in needing the attention, knowing no other way to live, but also really, really hating, like you said, the scrutiny.
Yeah,
I don't think we're
totally.
going to get
I
anything
turn it
as
to.
revealing as what you want.
Or you
Honestly,
know what would be even more revealing, and this is super like personal, but like her mental health journey. Like, how refreshing would it be for her to be like, this is what's actually going on. This is why the conservatorship happened. This is why the concerns were there. Because basically, what she's saying is, my family did this to me for no reason.
yeah.
There's never been
I
my
think
family.
truly. I sorry to interrupt, but that's what I want. I want that. That's the vulnerability that I don't think we're going to get. Is I have pretty severe bipolar disorder or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And BPD and whatever. That's the vulnerability I would want because then she can go from there and say, "This is why, and this is how I feel about it, and how it affects me." There's such strength in that. I mean, I've talked to you about how important it was for me to like face up to
Mm-hmm.
needing some help in terms of my mental health, right? And it was so liberating. I just that I feel like it would make her grow 10 feet. She would look
Oh,
42. She would suddenly feel like a 42-year-old woman instead of this baby.
yeah. I I agree with you so much. And remember when she released the 22-minute voice note on YouTube and we did an emergency recording because it was like I felt for the first time in her entire I just got goosebumps, her entire career, I was hearing something real when she said, um, you might think that I have a perfect life, but I don't. It's been far from perfect. And if you feel like you're alone, you're not alone. That I felt that as a fan. I was like, she is talking to me now. Also, when she spoke for the first time in court and we sort of heard all the stories she told her about like what her family did, those two times it was like, oh my God, that's the human being behind the image that I've been so obsessed with. And then immediately it stopped.
Yeah. It's just so
So,
powerful. It's so powerful to just own
yeah.
yourself. It's just so powerful to own yourself because if you can do that, then it's clear that like, you know, it's there's a maturity there, and it's signaling that you can't fix a problem if you don't know about it, and if you don't acknowledge it sort of openly, then everything you do looks like a way of covering that or suspect, or it just doesn't come off as authentic. I don't know.
Yeah, for sure. And look, Britney is still one of my top artists on Spotify. I rewatch her music videos all the time. I always rewatch her live performances. She's still an inspiration to me. And I think my official verdict at this point is I really want her to know what she wants from her life and the way
Yeah.
she wants me as a fan to engage with her. I want to know and I want to have a clear insight. How do you want me to support you, Britney? Is it by streaming Mind Your Business, Bitch? I don't think you care about that song. Probably never heard it, to be honest. Yeah, that's what I want. Clarity. Give me the clarity. And also, look, I'm like, leave her alone. I just talked for 46 minutes about her. So part of the problem, yes, Evan always says that. Like when I drove by Pamela Anderson's house this weekend, he was like, you're a celebrity's worst nightmare. And I was like, well, she literally lives on a highway and everybody in town knows that's where she lives. I didn't knock on her door. Thank God I wasn't drunk and high. I would have been like, let's do a duet. And she'd be like, I'm not a singer. And I'd be like, neither am I. And like, yeah.
I mean, I don't think you can contribute to the problem of Britney Spears being like overexposed. You're just one person. So,
Yeah, but I'm Peter Breens. I'm Peter Breens. Yeah. Well, thanks. That's a nice thing to say. I feel like I need to stop talking now because I am a little bit high from sharing. Like I feel like I talked a lot and I feel really good about seeing you again and doing this episode and I'm excited to keep going. I have a long list of topics I want to talk about.
okay.
Aliens, Jess needs to come back. Yeah, some things we'll talk about offline, but thanks for coming back, Big D.
So happy to jump in. I have missed you.
We're here again. We're back forever. Well, until my creativity dies. Um, we'll be here again next week.
Love
Thank
you.
you. Bye bye.